Alright guys, this video I'm going to demonstrate on how to do wheel bearings on a Triumph 650 63 to 70. If you got this lever, it's a good way to tell which one you have. First things first, obviously, you know, if you removed these wheel bearings, they're a pain in the ass, and the only way to get this bearing out is to knock these washers out and destroy them. That's literally what the manual says with the drift. And you're going to wind up destroying these washers. So these are brand new washers. I can link where I got them from. They're from Classic British Spares. I believe the part number for the skinny one is 1022, W1022, and the big one is W1474. So you install the bearings last. You got to put these washers in first. I made the mistake of putting them in there before, and then I had to remove them because I forgot about the washers. But basically, this is the order it goes in. If you have a parts book, it'll show. Basically, this is the 1474, this is the 1022, and then you got your bearing right there, and then you got your little holder right here. So that's really the next step. You bang the bearing in, and then you're going to screw this side in. So I'm going to do that, and I'll show you guys what it looks like when it's done. Alright, so that's what it looks like with the bearing in. I heated it up with a MAP gas torch, and I got this bearing puller off Amazon. It's a handy tool. So that was the next step. Bang the bearing in, and you really want to make sure that that bearing's even. So that's it, and I'll show you what it's going to look like after this. This is going to go on next, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so that's what it should look like with the cover on it. Just like that. There's a little screw that needs to go right there, and I got that in my bag. There it is. It's a little black Allen screw. Goes in like that. And just screw it in. Make sure you test your bearing. Make sure it spins nice. So, that side is done. Alright, so we're on to the other side. The next thing that you're going to want to do is get this grease retainer, and you're going to put that on. It's going to go in there, and then you're going to put the bearing in. So I'll show you that. Okay, so this was the next step, was installing this grease retainer. It's got the little lip on it. And I was going to mention this before the video. You could do it if you want. I don't do it that way because you could run into hub problems. A lot of people say that using these sealed bearings defeats the purpose of the grease retainers, but the grease retainers, obviously they're not useful if these are already sealed, but the grease retainers, there's a space that has to be, like, there's a lip inside this hub, and there needs to be a certain amount of space where that bearing has to sit, or the bearing can you know, move around or walk out a tiny bit. So I always put these back in to use the correct amount of space that's needed for these wheels. They're cheap anyway. I mean, these grease retainers, they're like $3 a piece. So I wind up just getting them. It's up to you though. I have done it on another bike where I didn't use them, and the bike's doing fine right now, but you know, anything can happen, and you don't want anything to happen to you on the road, and then your whole bike is done. But alright, so the next step, don't forget to put this in. I've done it before. It's time to put your little thing in like that. So I've been running into a little problem with doing this. I've been putting this spindle in like that, like it's supposed to, and I go to bang the bearing in, and the bearing is touching this and the bearings aren't moving. So if that happens to you, what you're gonna have to do, I guess it's with these new sealed bearings I'm putting in, maybe they're a tiny bit off, but basically what you're gonna wanna do is shave down this just a little bit. That way you could still bottom out your bearing and it won't be rubbing on the edge of this, because that's the only solution I could think of. So yeah, you're gonna want to shave that down a little. That way when you drive this bearing home, it won't be hitting this and resisting it up. So, alright, so there's the wheel bearing. It just fell right in. I heated the shit out of it with the MAP gas torch. So it's in. Make sure it's nice and level. And then what's gonna go on next is this over here. This little grease retainer. It's gonna go on. Just gonna sit on the bearing and show you what that looks like. Alright guys, so after I banged that bearing in, that's it. And then that little dust shield goes on and everything's together now. It works good. Yeah, sorry I didn't show that part. I mean, it's just really self-explanatory. Literally, after you put that bearing in, everything slides into place. This is optional if you want to use this. You could put a spacer in between here. I might do that. But yeah, I put the brake shoes in and just slid the cover on, and it's good now. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll be happy to answer them. Thanks for watching.